The scanner's going to be able to get out. That's a very nice roam once again from FAKER. This is what he's been showing us. Like, you don't even need a jungler on the top side of the map because FAKER's just always leaving his lane.
And this is, when T1 looks good, they look like this, and I would not be surprised to see more attention going. Your lane is also pushing away from you as Keem, right? Like, you're in a position where you know the lane is going to push into Kana, who has also answered my question, will be going for the cam tank here, presumably. So not going for any, you know, more aggressive shenanigans. Really just looking for the early game prio, the early game dominance, but then still building to be a tanky mid-game teamfight threat, which with the amount of damage he has on his team, I can get.
Yeah, well, Spears going to find a minion, unfortunately, and Keen, without Flash, is still just going to stick around and going to be okay. As in goes Carrier, gets the Pulverize out from Lehens, misses the Q, unfortunately.
And that's a cool adaptation that we've been seeing more and more from Rels as people all get more comfortable with the champion. FAKER, though.
Yeah, has to Flash, actually.
Okay.
That is the real one. Does find the bubble, is Dread down to about 50%, but still very successful.
Which is crashing down as your default state of being, as we see Carrier do here right now. Because then if you mount up, like the Alistar can't actually do a lot about you, and you can just flip him over, hit an attraction repel, and get a cute little trade in.
Well, there's a headbutt Pulv as Carrier in a bit of trouble here. On the horse, will still get stunned as Blade Caller not exactly going to do it, as now Cuz looking for some spears. Control Ward goes into the brush, but Cuz unfortunately going to miss that one, as now the horse is here. The other horse now going to have to try and get out of there, sitting at about 400 to 500 health. Not exactly going to be the most healthy. Is Fly going to come over and make sure that this Rift Scuttler does go over to Dread, as Cuz not wanting to let this one go, as FAKER comes on in. We'll see whether they can actually grab this kill as the bubble does go wide. Crashdown comes forward as FAKER. Portal jumping over, but has to come back. Dread still going to be traded most likely. Oh, but no, the Pulverize is too good. Double kill for Fly. Could it be the triple as the Blast going looking to get Carrier out, who remounts and is now trying to escape. Will he be able to do it? Crashdown going to be back off cooldown, but nope, not happening. Fly going to pick up 3 kills in the team fight, and maybe also this blue buff, and I say maybe, he's definitely getting this blue buff. This is a huge start for AFRECA once again.
Disrespect's coming out yet again there from T1. They're trying to throw it all over a Rift Scuttler, Atlas. That is not the way to go. And I'm not going to lie, I saw the performance from T1 coming in over the last couple of matches. I was like, okay, I'm actually expecting a lot of this team now. And then I see this, and I'm like, okay, guys, listen, there is a lot that needs to be cleared up before playoffs, because this is not it. And it starts with this play being set up. This isn't intention a nice bait, but Cuz anticipating a sidestep there from Bang, which Bang does not go for very clearly. Bang's just like, haha, no, I'm out of here.
Yep.
And that in of itself is fine. FAKER, you don't have that much health. Carrier has like half health. Cuz isn't actually there. Just a weird, over-aggressive play that doesn't actually, even in the best case scenario, like I think that it's very high variance. And now you're behind with your POCOM.
Yeah.
That's not good. I shouldn't need to explain why, but Victor getting fed this early is immeasurable big problem, as Lehens, these roams, man.
Yep, Dread's going to come through here as well, as there's the showstopper, but I don't know whether Cannon can do this. Oh my goodness, gets a big shield there, but you can see Cuz throws a spear and says, nope, I ain't going to be able to help you there, buddy. And now AFRECA should be able to head over to Shelly and lock this one down as well. This gold lead moving towards 1,000 and maybe beyond here, as the plates are going to be locked in as well after Shelly does come through.
Now with this draft, SC1, now you're basically hoping for a similar position as or a similar situation as in game number 1, where really, regardless of game state, AFRECA will find a way to beat themselves. Because this time, I think the AFRECA comp is much more favored. They have the hard engage required to deal with the T1 comp, right? Because T1, they want to shell from afar, or they want to single someone out, blow them up, and then fight on uneven footing.
And that's going to be very, very difficult.
Well, yeah.
You have hard engage options from absolutely everyone. Is Dread looking for FAKER, but not going to be able to find it.
And that's why, like, that's not a play you need to go for as T1, because if it was Drake, maybe, right? But it's just a Scuttler. It really doesn't matter. And falling behind early in this game, if we hadn't just seen game number 1, this would be the kind of situation where, like, well, I don't know. But we have seen that it's more about how these teams will actually play to their win conditions. Because if AFRECA play well, I think they have a really, really good shot. Nice X-Flash there from Lahens, who is more than ready to help out his buddy. And these roams from Lahens has actually been really, really good. I've been very happy to see him really regain his form in the half of the split. And it's kind of this trio especially, like it's kind of the tragedy of AFREECA that will individually look good. When it comes to actually winning games, all three of them still show a lot of weakness.
Yeah, that being said, Fly keeping up in farm very nicely, largely due to the fact that he picked up those 3 kills.
Yeah.
Bang as well, actually leaning quite nicely here at the same time as Dread looks for Cuz. Wants to be able to take down these chickens as Cuz is going to get smote. And yeah, Dread is just pretty big. On the Hecker room right now, 1-0 and 2. And not a lot that Cuz could really do to answer that one right there. And level advantage going to be helping out the horse as now FAKER underneath this turret. We'll have to contend with Fly taking this one down. Shout out to Wolf, of course. This is the Zoe turret as Keen going to get thrown underneath the top lane outer. But he just walks away, and he'll be absolutely fine as well.
Yeah, that's the downside of not going for the Bladed Rune. King build, obviously, in terms of team fights, you're going to have a lot more presence. You're going to be able to make a lot more plays, going big with a showstopper, and then still stay alive to get a big Haymaker shield. But when it comes to the 1v1, you do give up a considerable amount of pressure. And here we see the unfortunate reality is that thanks to those 3 kills and the subsequent pressure, Fly, in a smashing spot, also got given over a lot of the plate gold, which is where this entire gold lead really comes from.
Yeah.
T1 did find 1 Drake though, and we can still be looking at a Cloud Drake, and then it's like
it'll be my first of the day, so
I think you're okay, right? Like it's fine. And not for AFREECA, however, who presumably are going to be the ones that should have like prior over the Drakes relatively soon, because this comp has been accelerated to a point where I feel like T1, they're still okay, they can still find that moment, but it's more about T1 finding mistakes from AFREECA and AFREECA making mistakes. However, so last series, it seems like more of a question of when AFREECA will make the mistakes and how egregious they will be, and that's not a good place to be in, even with a comp and a gold lead like this.
Yeah. And remember, AFREECA at this stage last game had a 4,000 gold lead. Now it's only 2. T1 are basically ahead. As Canna will find a bit of Haymaker damage there, but Keen is starting to get pretty tanky now.
He doesn't
as that sidestep not enough from Canna. Yeah, no, you're not going to break the face of this Scion, my friend. As Dread behind this blue buff right now, Cuz not wanting to give this one up without a fight. As you can see, fair bit of vision here for T1. Bang's rotating up though. 4 versus 3 at this point in time as FAKER still in the mid lane, and Fly's just going to wrap around, steal away a blue buff very easily. As, okay, Void Seekers, the poke is landing, but it doesn't really do all that much as Lahan's not going to find the Pulverize there. Just going for the headbutt. Ow, that one hurt.
I was just about to say Cuz's spears this game have not been super on point, but I held my breath for a little bit there because I figured the moment I say that,
you thinking about it, cast a Blessed.
Exactly.
So, Cuz going to say thank you. As FAKER going to land that bubble nicely onto Dread.
Might I cast back your mind to a game against DRX?
Okay.
Where T1 was also in a disadvantaged position. And where FAKER was playing Zoe.
And then finds some magnificent bubbles, like that one, collected here by Dread. Paddlestar going to connect once again, Cuz no mana. Area's turned up as well, as now Teddy looking for Bang. Fair bit of damage there. Very nice. Teddy not really under too much threat, as FAKER just going to wander through some gravity fields. And yeah, this set not necessarily working out 100% right now, as Keen's getting some decent poke onto this this guy on the top side.
Yeah, so the thing... Oh, Teddy.
Yeah, teleport immediately coming in. Teddy can flash the wall and does so immediately. Attract Repel connected, but not going to be enough, of course, to save his life. Didn't have the killer instinct, so couldn't use that to get over instead.
It's a rough one, Atlas. Like I think if this was the game #1, I would feel much more comfortable about talking about like what AFREECA needs to do, which in this case pretty straightforward. You play aggressively, you go in hard, and you blow them up, right? Like this is a squishy team comp on the side of T1, with the exception of Set. Carrier is going to be somewhat tanky, but you should still be able to chew through them pretty quickly with your fed Victor. And Bang is just on par with what you'd expect, right? He's getting pressured a little bit, but you don't pick the Xayah to do well lane, you pick her to just farm up and then be a huge threat in team fights.
Yeah.
Drake needs to go over though, and most importantly, I'm just looking at AFRICA and like, how do they play around objectives? Like, do they set up the vision? Do they respect? Because if they don't, and one person gets picked off, then it doesn't matter what gold lead you have, T1 will be able to find a way back into this game.
Well, T1 weren't able to find any plates, and now AFRICA should be able to take this Ocean Drake. As Sion just makes his way back up toward the top side. It is going to be an Infernal Soul. So
oh boy.
there's no clouds. Not a cloud in sight.
It's a bright day. I'd even say.
It's beautiful.
Right, it's beautiful, and it's good news for AFRICA Freaks, who might just hope they're able to kind of defend this here. And the thing about Bramblevest against Set is it's so incredibly strong because Set literally, like, he gains his trading value against you by just
regen.
Yeah. And not only that, but also like by autoing you, right? Like that's how he wins trades. It's just using his Q auto reset. And now T1 is playing a Poe comp from a huge deficit, which is the worst feeling in the world. Because
and it's
as we
once again this big gold advantage. At 15 minutes for AFRICA, they've done it. They've done it again. At which point do we actually start thinking, oh, AFRICA are going to be able to win this game? Is there a point ever that they're even allowed to think that?
I will not, personally, and that's kind of upsetting, but also makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
Because we've seen AFRICA be in these positions time and time again. However, I feel in this specific scenario, this comp gap is actually insane.
It's
right?
pretty nutty. And like Hecarim as a champion is very, very good. And T1, straight up front to back, like you were talking about, just going to be really, really hard. But, you know, Teddy's farming well. FAKER is still doing okay.
And that's my point. But there are scenarios where T1 wins. If Kana finds a big slam, right? He locks up Bang with a face breaker after having slammed the sign into and Teddy ults in, blows up Bang, goes away with Supercharger. Right?
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, one of your damage threats is gone. Same thing can happen to Fly. These are the type of scenarios that we're going to be looking for.
Well, there's the train as Keen looks for FAKER, doesn't find him, gets the flash out though. Now Kana looks for the backline. Carrier in a little bit of trouble here, not able to get out of the decimating smash. There's a lot of CC now, but Carrier has to flash. Gets a lot of heals. The Chaos Storm following him as he's so slow, but does make it to relative safety. Keen taking so much of this aggro is Teddy. That was a little bit too aggressive potentially, but is looking to try and make his way out. Dread not hit by that bubble, and now it's time for re-engage, but maybe it's actually not, as there's a beautiful face breaker from Kana. Hatemaker keeps him alive. Lehen's in trouble, has to flash the wall as the Scion will be taken down. FAKER's not letting the cow go as Fly is hit by the bubble, and FAKER doesn't have enough mana for a Battle Star. Oh, that was heartbreaking, but T1 gonna win the fight and now looking for even more.
Why are they hard committing when Bang is in the top lane?
I thought it was so good because Baron wasn't up yet, but they chose to find a different way. As, Bang is gonna be able to now turn up and grab a kill onto the set and demonstrate exactly why they probably should be fighting with him present.
Oh, this is such a deeply upsetting game there, because look at how long it took T1 to actually get through the Sign health, right? Like, think about how long that took.
Yeah.
Imagine if Bang is there.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with either team here, because I think that, listen, engaging here is fine if Bang then decides to rotate to the rest of the team, right? And like, here, they're still trying to disengage, so it makes sense that Bang isn't there. However, the moment this happens, still arguably okay, here you can kite back, but there is a point, which I think I'd say it's here, where like, why do you keep committing? Why are you, AFRICA, why are you continuously going in forward here? You're missing your main damage dealer. Yes, you have Victor, but that's not enough. And like,
chilling on the
listen, and you can look at Bang and go like, Bang, what are you doing? But this is a team call, and this is the problem every single time with AFRICA, and this is why we're so hesitant to call this game over. Even though, still, right now, like, this is not a sizable gold lead for T1. They won like one tiny battle, but it's moments like this that give me no faith in AFRICA, because it's... Who makes the call to keep fighting that, to keep re-engaging, to keep in the skirmish without your AD carry there? You can't do that.
Well, now we're looking for a potential another fight as the red buff is taken by Keen. Over the wall. is T1, but Shirley's going to show up.
Oh, Canna.
This is going to be a lot of map control for AFREKA. As, yep, Canna very, very deep flank. As we've got 18 seconds on this Infernal Drake. Infernal Soul going to be so important for both of these teams. And T1 not wanting to give that one up without a fight. Canna still.
Oh no.
Just lying in wait is now Bang. Oh dear, this is not what you want. Look, it's so...
And he's there.
Yep, he's still there, guys. Carrier looking for his option. In goes Canna as well. It's pretty good as the Facebreaker comes down as well, but the Rel's going to be taken out first. Teddy into the back line, looking to try and clean up. And he is going to be able to take down Bang. Canna somehow still alive. The Cow's going to be taken out here as Teddy. Can he actually get enough damage down? Canna's still trying to fight this one out, but the Scion's massive. And now Teddy has to contend with everyone. Cuz flashing forward, but AFREKA stand their ground and wipe T1.
And here we see the Edge, even with a perfect find there on Fly. He's able to stay alive for so long thanks to great use of his Zhonya's. And I got to question the decision not to go for Bang, because I feel like if you hunted to zero into Featherstorm, it's way easier before he can Featherstorm Redder. Instead, Canna does go for Fly, who is indeed more fed. But what you see is the moment he gets slammed down and the Facebreaker doesn't even get used initially, a lot of damage comes through, but it's not actually enough. Teddy can't join that fight, and even when he does, that's like half a second there where he's feared by Dread.
Yeah.
Those half a seconds, those matter. Those are super relevant and are what kind of creates a really big problem for T1, because if Bang dies a split second earlier there, Teddy can get off a couple more autos, maybe he can actually find Fly, because this time the front line is just too beefy, it takes too much time, and this shows why AFREKA... It's so crazy to me that I have to talk about it like AFREKA is not favored, because they should be Atlas. If you just joined, right? If you're like, why are they talking like AFREKA is not, like what is going on? And you have to understand, like the position that the team was in was similar in last game.
It was.
Yes, the compositional gap was not as big. This composition literally plays itself, right? We see it there. It's a front-to-back team fight. You have two main damage dealers. Stand in front of those.
Yeah,
That's
and
all.
a lot of the agencies in Keen this time around. Like, he's the one that's able to frontline so effectively. Even in that fight, yes, Bang got cornered, but then Teddy was unable to hit anyone other than Keen, or potentially Dread for like a few seconds, but Fly was completely safe due to the fact that that big Scion body was blocking him from being able to walk forward.
My problem is, I think once Teddy has 3 items, he just solo wins that team fight from that position with the space that is bought from the rest of the team, even though he shouldn't be allowed to.
Potentially, yeah. But let's see whether Bang, on one of his, more famous champions here, can possibly do the same. I want to believe. I do want to believe. His carrier's going to dive forward. Oh no, Fly. Caught out of position. That's a fair bit of extra damage, though, as now Dread looking for his way in. Fly is going to keep himself alive for a really long time. Eventually he does fall down, but it's a 1-for-1 in the end. Cuz also going to die as Canna has a lot of grit built up, but now Bang's going to come through and look to try and take him down. The face break is good, but it ain't good enough. Keen's going to be able to grab that one, and now Faker and Carrier looking for their opportunity. AFREKA with 4 members still alive now around this Baron. I don't know whether Faker and Carrier can do it, but maybe there's an opportunity. They say no, and Baron also going to be taken down. Maybe it's time to start talking about the AFREKA victory, because 23 minutes in, it looks like this Baron going to be absolutely secured, and T1 haven't been able to team fight at all this game.
I'll believe it when I see the Nexus fall.
I mean, I understand. I definitely understand the apprehension.
I think AFREKA fans should do so. But what we're seeing here is promising. T1 continuously are now getting increasingly desperate. They're continuously overforcing on Fly, who has Zhonya's, which he uses here like he did last time. And I would like to see T1 try to shift away and go for Bang instead, because I feel like you have a bigger chance of blowing up, because the itemization coming in here from the Victor as well is Verdant Barrier, Merc Threads, and Zhonya's, right? Like, which is just... and now he's Bansheesville, like, he's just not going to die. Whereas Bang, yes, he has Featherstorm, which is annoying to deal with, but at the same time, like, that's it for survivability. And I think that the amount of time that Fly can stall is a bigger problem, and if you can just kill Fly and then get out, then maybe you're fine. As a whole, though, the reason why T1 is having such a difficult time is because their comp should not be in this position, in this game, at this point in time. Like, this is a comp that you play from ahead, where your poke is incredibly oppressive, and then once you see the moment when the iron is hot, that's when you move in. That's when you go for the big play. I don't know if that's going to happen here, though.
Yeah, it's hard to find those opportunities now. 6,000 gold is the lead. 7. I tell a lie. Very close to 7 anyway for AFREKA.
It's okay. I forgive you.
Yeah, this, sometimes the calculations are just a little bit difficult. Just simple subtraction can be very tough for a man like myself. Okay, AFREKA, 4 members looking for a bit of a siege as Dread off to the side. There's a wave of wards here that he's going to be able to clear. As the mid lane going to crash in, Dread's just going to keep them buffed up. Looks like T1 have been relatively successful on the defense as Keen takes 0 damage. Bubble's going to connect, flies Banshee's Veil, now down. Aurora the Slayer not going to connect, but neither is the Paddlestar.
And you can sense that AFREKA, like we know, right, like that they have had some issues. Nobody knows this better than AFREKA themselves. They really don't want to take a risk. They're playing it safe.
Yeah, cute double knock up there as Cannon's going to take a fair bit of damage. Into the backline goes Dread, though, as he's getting taken down very, very low. Has to ult defensively now, as Voidseeker not going to quite find the mark, but they have zoned out effectively enough to take down that turret. FAKER still just looking for any opportunity to take someone down. They're not going to be able to find it just yet. And that is just going to be a free inhibitor taken by AFREKA. Carrier looking to flank around.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, this is the Infernal Drake that T1 are looking for. Not wanting to let this one go over to AFREKA to threaten that soul point. It's going to give them so much control. That being said, I mean, I don't know what T1 are going to be able to do. You can see AFREKA all grouped up. Some low-ish health bars, but they're not low enough to be really happy about the situation, as Keen doesn't quite find anything with his ulti, as Dread also a little bit by himself, as Canna doesn't find the Facebreaker.
Carrier doesn't find the flank, they need to back off.
Yeah, Dread, he might find his. No ultis available at all for AFREKA. But now Canna, he's just going to get locked down. Shield is pretty good. Facebreaker as well. Does ulti to get into the backline as Bang in a lot of trouble. He is going to be executed as there's the headbutt pole onto Teddy. He's taken down as well. And now it's FAKER, the last remaining damage dealer, but he has to flash out. Cuz also, I guess, has a bit of damage, but he's also running for the hills. Flash headbutt pole. And that kitty cat should be taken down. The horse probably going to win this battle as Onslaught of Shadow is going to be used. Not a lot of damage here available in between the cow and the horse. As Blast Cone just going to be taken down so that Cuz can't use it. And he's bouncing away. This is taking a really long time. And he will die, but, you know, bought a lot of time.
This is not what you want to see as a T1 fan, but as an AFREKA fan, you're thinking 1%, Atlas. 1%, it's still possible. And honestly, okay, listen, guys, I know, if I curse it, I'm sorry, but I think this is the point where as AFREKA fans, you're like, okay, we can look towards game 3, right? Like, This is just, you see the amount of effort put in by T1. I'm actually surprised that Kana didn't just try and smash Keen into the rest of that team there. Because I feel like he was maybe waiting for a carrier play, but instead they waited a really, really long time. Health bar's already low. And there is a reason why we don't see tank set nearly as much anymore. It was considerably nerfed, right? Like, yes, it's still beefy, but the damage from your Haymaker is not nearly as relevant. And even though they blow up Bang, you only need 1 damage dealer, and that's Fly, and Fly is completely fine. Again, goes for the defensive play, and that adaptation from Fly to just realize, okay, guys, in game number 1, it didn't really have a big impact. I'm just going to build defensively, right? Like, look at that.
8-1-7, dude. This is like the biggest Fly has ever been in 2021. It's massive.
And you come into this game as T1 and you see game number 1, and we did this as well, right? We're like, guys, this, you know, like they have an early game draft, they're probably just going to run over them and end it there.
Yeah.
And then T1, again, they don't respect. And what I expect is that AFREKA are going to win this game, and T1 is just going to say, okay, we just draft straight up team fight, right? And this is why I said earlier, legitimately, non-ironically, AFREKA might be one of the best early game teams that we have within the LCK. And it makes no sense. I know they're last place, right? But every single time, I'm starting to feel like we should stop saying people disrespect AFREKA and just AFREKA create opportunities for themselves, because they do it against literally every team. Is their post 15, 20 minutes game not great? Sure.
Yeah.
But you see that the early game consistency is always there. With this team comp, early game consistency is all you need. And right now they're looking poised to take this game and keep the 1% dream alive.
Fly does a lot of damage. Ticking over to 30 minutes, and the Baron has just spawned again. Some vision now being put down here by T1, but AFREKA still own most of their topside jungle. And This Baron is a very long way away in the dark for T1. Keen just going to be a brick wall in this mid lane. Bang, pushing out top side. His bubble will connect, but it's only onto an Alistar, so there's no real response. This inner turret will be taken down. It's dire straits right now for T1. Is Cannon going to rotate over? Teddy just tidying up these super creeps that are flooding into the bottom lane. And AFREKER, maybe it's just time to move back to this Baron, start this one up.
This time though, look at the vision.
Yeah, it's much better. Like, it's very, very dark. And this is AFREKER that have done their homework, right? Certainly a much better look for them. As, look, Dread now gets in from behind them. They don't start off the Baron. As very feared is Teddy. Not quite dead just yet as the heal does come out. Canna trying to be huge on that front line, but unfortunately, the Rel and the Set, both of the engaged tools just obliterated by AFREKER. And what do they have to show for it? Some half health bars on their tanks. That's about it. Of course not on Keen, because he's basically immortal at this stage of the game. And AFREKER just going to march it down the mid lane. They already have that bottom lane inhibitor that is up again in 8 seconds time. You best believe that is going to be dead immediately. As T1 looking to try and defend their Nexus turrets. Could this just be the end of game 2? Have AFREKER actually done it? And moving us to a full series here against T1. I was definitely not expecting it, as Cuz going to be taken down pretty comfortably here. The Xayah also destroyed though, as in goes Carrier. Can we actually save the game, T1, as FAKER does have an extra flash for himself. Fly going to be obliterated. Teddy has a triple kill now.
Teleport!
Yep, we're looking for Dread, who just backs out. He's like, I'm getting into the enemy jungle. Let's see whether I can survive this one. This should just be Baron for T1. Oh God, Chronicler. Have I cursed it completely?
No.
Surely not.
No one curses AFREKER but AFREKER. let me tell you, Atlas. Honestly, yes, this looks bad. I don't think it matters. I think T1 is going to get the Baron, right? And like, this is a Hail Mary team fight. This should never happen. And the fact that it even happens in the first place is absolutely ludicrous. As we see here, the problem. What do you do here as Teddy or as
FAKER, right?
FAKER, right? Like, there's a reason why Hecarim is so strong. Like, this man runs you down no matter what. And there's also a Sion.
Oh, Dread. Okay, Cannon's going to hold on to this one. And yeah, everybody else is streaming out of the base. But T1 will be able to grab the Baron.
Listen, because you need to win this fight. You've done that. Okay, your Nexus stands. Now, you need to win the next fight.
At the Infernal Soul.
Because there is an Infernal Soul, and you can't give that over, because then you guaranteed lose the game. Then, once that's done, you need to hold on, win 5v5 team fights again. The comp from AFREKER, straight up, you know, you're in a vision, you don't have...
Teddy has cool items, though.
It shouldn't happen. But the fact that we believe says enough. That is possible, right? Like, I mean, collectively.
I mean, everything's possible. I don't know whether it's T1 winning, but I think that AFREKER have showed that they can...
Surely not.
I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it.
Oh, no.
As, yeah, T1 actually just going to move down this mid lane. Look for that positional advantage, as Infernal Soul is indeed going to go over to AFREKER.
Okay, they're going to go for the game and push, right? Like, they're trying to catch him out of position.
Yeah, is this actually going to work, though, is the question.
Shouldn't.
They are out of position, and if a team is out of position, that's when Zoe shines. Lehens has to use his ulti very early. Keen, decimating smash onto one, and still, AFREKER haven't been able to get back into position just yet. Inhibitor turret does go down, and Teddy's just free hitting on this inhibitor. It will just go down. AFREKER, no response. 2 inhibitors still dead on T1's side of the map. There are streams of super creeps heading towards this one, as that's a teleport. Carrier gonna crash down as Zoe gets back to base. Now Dread looking for Cuz. Keen had teleported in as well. I think they're gonna give Cuz up for the Ghost, as the Rel also going to be dead. And Teddy still backing. Oh my goodness, this is so dangerous.
That should be it, Atlas. I don't think they can defend 3 versus 5.
Yeah, especially when Can is desperately trying to find his way back. Teddy looking for Lehens. Lehens finally flashes. I think he was looking elsewhere. Teddy now having to deal with Dread. He's looking for the back. I don't think there's any way Teddy gets out of this one, as now he's looking to chase down the Hecarim. Yeah, you're not going to be able to 1v1 this Kai'Sa, but all he's trying to do is stop that back from happening. Onslaught of Shadows comes in, and the fear is real good. FAKER has a stride breaker. And Teddy once again going to get denied. There's the showstopper into the backline. Lehens might die, but the Nexus turret's going to be taken down. Another back going to be attempted here, as the Nexus is so extraordinarily low. There it goes. AFREKER topple T1 in game 2.
It's a valiant effort for T1, and we hold our hearts till the very end of that game.
Oh, man.
But AFREECA freaks do. They keep the 1% dream alive. If you just tune in, this is
Do or die.
This is do or die. This is a huge upset, and this theoretically keeps the dream alive, right? And like, I need to. Oh my God, this is so hard.
Oh, no. You give me that original shit.
No.
You give me that.
I don't.
He 100% deserves that. There is no way that you're denying Fly his POG.
Listen. The man was given a triple kill, okay? Like
He was, and he took it.
Listen, it was given to him politely.
Fly was 8-1-7 at one point in that game.
I know. Okay, you were right. You were
You
right.
know,
Listen,
I think he deserved it.
Listen, I think it's for the redemption. Right?
Maybe
For the
Sion
redemption.
deserved it actually though, because Keen played very, very well.
I don't know if Valdez is watching. Never will I vote for a Sion. It's not happening.
It's not happening?
Listen,
Okay.
T1, I think this is where you say, okay, screw it. We're just going to draft a team fighting comp, and then we can always win, and we will, because we're T1 and they're AFREECA. Because my God, I don't. This breaks the color caster, Atlas.
No, I get it. And look, the Hecarim wasn't banned as well. I think T1 knew themselves just how strong that pick was. Cuz had a great game in game number 1 on the champion. Dread was 0-2 on the pick before, but I think now you have to pick it away, which they probably will if it's left up. If you're AFREECA though, ban it, force T1 into something else, and maybe, just maybe, they can do it again. We'll just have to see.
I like that you're smiling, and I'm just like, I don't.
This is the time where you don't want to be an analyst.
I don't.
You just don't. You don't want to be an analyst. Post-game breakdown is now upon us, and let's have a look at this damage. Oh my God, Teddy doubled Bang's output, but didn't actually eventuate to anything because, of course, you know you've got an Alistar, a Sion, and a Hecarim. They're going to sponge 30k pretty comfortably. And the same can't really be said for the side of T1. No real frontline canna. The tank set experiment was, look, it was conclusive in the negative column, in my opinion.
Just pick Cho'Gath. You know,
Cho'Gath would have been
We
cool.
like Cho'Gath. We know what he did.
He could have even picked a Camille and split pushed for the victory as well. I think that having a split pusher in a poke composition could work.
Yeah, but then I see the hard engage and like Hecarim, and I'm like, actually, I don't.
Hextech Ultimatum works pretty well in those situations.
That's true.
Though.
But like, then you're fighting as Camille, right? Which you can do, of course, but listen, we're getting bogged down in specifics. T1, just draft a team fight comp. Like, don't draft early game against AFREECA, because apparently AFREECA are just the best early game team. I guess we learned that today.
Yep. And now they've actually won a game from the early game lead as well. They've had a lead in both of these games so far, but we're still going to a game number 3. So we are going to go to a short break. When we get back, it will be that analyst desk as well as G-Sun's translation, and then that coveted game number 3. Don't go anywhere.
카이사
천천히 따라갈게.
진아 계속 가봐.
카이사 어딨냐?
카이사 아니야
이거
몰라.
조심해봐.
아 그냥 가 그냥.
어. 가자.
야 카이사 옆에 카이사 옆에
알리.
카이사 됐어 됐어.
아 이거 내가 비영 끊을 때.
아
이거
끝냈다. 한번 끝냈다. 알리도 알아 알리도 알아.
어. 근데 바론 버프라서 못 끊을 것
여기
같은데.
쓰면 조심해.
이걸 끊었어. 카이사.
카이사 궁 있다 진영아.
없어.
아 없어 오케이.
계속 끊을게 내가 그냥. 아 진짜 끊은 맞았고. 끊었어. 계속 끊고 있어 이거.
끊어봐.
렐 8.
이거 해 타워부터 우리 무조건 타워부터.
타워 칠게 그냥. 타워 칠게 타워.
넥서스.
아 이거 넥서스 이제 크리사 집 한다. 집 놓고 집.
넥서스.
카이사 피해.
We are back after game number 2 between T1 and AFRICA, and they finally stopped their losing streak, 11 game long losing streak, and now AFRICA was able to pick B1 Hecarim. So we were wondering what could be a counter strategy that T1 prepared, which was set for Kana in that last pick on the red side. Seth is one of the champions that has a very high synergy together with Nidalee on the top lane as well. And in the second rotation of the ban, a lot of AD top champions got banned out, and then T1 had Zoe for their mid lane, which means Kana was put to that AD melee damage kind of champion. And this time around, he took Grasp instead of Conqueror, which means he was looking for some teamfight power and sustainability up against AFRICA's sustained damage output. And Seth can also create some synergy together with Rel as well. And T1 had to poke the opponents and make the opponents dive onto themselves. However, AFRICA had a very solid comp and they were not falling to that Zoe's mind game. And we had a very stylish teamfight pulled off by T1 and AFRICA players, and very close skirmish pulled off by two teams. They were walking the fine line. So Hecarim clears that scuttle and then activates his ghost, and because this horse is just too fast, he sidesteps that Sleepy Trouble bubble, and then Zoe also dodges that Hecarim ultimate, going really back and forth between two teams, and then Dread once again was able to walk away from Keria's engage, and also that spear, and locks down that kill onto FAKER. All 10 players in this game were very sharp with their mechanical performance, and then Lihan joins this fight like a hero. And now it was Fly's time to lock up triple kills after finishing Keria in the end. It was a very stylish play and high-level mechanical performance pulled off by two teams. Now let's take a look at the second highlight, where AFRICA once again was flexing their flashy move today. So Seth cleared the bottom lane wave and looked for some hide and bush kind of a play. So he was able to find that Victor walking up, but Bang Zaya immediately reacted to T1's combo, and Dread. Hecarim was also 1v2ing against T1's damage carries, and Hecarim's ult fears to people, which was super critical because Kai'Sa ulted in while getting feared. And then it was just Victor's time in order to just clear out all the kills, because this champion can do a lot of work in teamfight, and also a nice and flashy flash away from the Nidalee jump in the end with some style. With this performance, AFRICA with a very desperate play, they were able to even out the series, and the POG will be secured by Dread on Hecarim. It was everywhere when AFRICA had their actions and kills, and Dread is truly the strong link of AFRICA's roster, and he needs to get things going for the team to win the game. A very stylish and high level of performance and skill maneuvered by Dread in this skirmish as well was really on point. Even though T1 was looking for some massive teamfight attempt, Zaya was able to survive even longer than everyone expected, and then Fly was almost intact from the first half of this fight, which means they had still another damage output in order to wrap up this fight. And Hecarim is definitely stronger than Udyr. That's our conclusion about our analyst. And once he gets fed, he can always dive onto the opponent and still eat up so much damage. And then also put damage onto the enemy damage carries as well, which is a huge counterplay. And Hecarim canceling the recall of Teddy was really critical for T1 and also helped AFRECA Freaks to close out the game. And Dread picked up 7 votes out of 9 for this POG. And let's find out what is this going to be AFRECA bouncing back to keep their 1% hope alive.
Thank you so much, Jisun, as per usual, for the translation of the analyst desk. I guess I owe you an apology.
I'm glad you guys can't see it, but I'm glaring at Atlas because you know who I had on my paper after seeing those.
No, you had Fly, and
those,
then you redid it.
After those last couple of team fights, I wanted to
You
vote
got
for
a new
Dread.
piece of paper. That's
and then I wanted to give that paper over to Atlas. I was like, no, give it to the Victor.
I mean, they heard. It was on the broadcast. I actually feel like, you know, Fly has had the best performance so far this split in this game, and I think he deserved at least a vote.
Listen, you know, it's okay. I'll forgive you. It's
And
fine.
actually, you know, the man that you wanted to get the POG got it in the end, and there's no difference to what a POG is worth based on how many votes.
That is true.
it's all fine.
At least I didn't listen to Valdez because he would have had me vote for Key.
And to be honest, look, Keen played some immaculate
he really
shielding.
did.
He really did very well. Him interrupting Cuz in one of the skirmishes that we had highlighted there was actually really beautiful to watch. That being said, he's Scion, and honestly, AFRECA just draft gapped T1 way too hard.
Oh yeah.
It was very difficult to cast though, right? Because AFRECA, it feels like almost every game is throwable, right?
Yeah, like that's. I didn't. It was really hard because AFRECA always find a way, but not in a good way, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's always close and then not quite it. And this game, it was it, right? Like they had the teamfight comp, they had the triple tank into poke, which that's about as good as it gets, if you ask me. And what I'm hoping to see here is AFRECA looking for teamfight comps again, I guess, because they win late game regardless, or they win early game regardless, but mostly T1, please pivot. Please allow yourself to win the game post 20 minutes if you're behind.
Yeah.
Because we saw in game number 1, you can just do that. You're good enough for it. We even saw in that game, which looked absolutely doomed, that Teddy, like his, I don't know what that was, I think it was his Jin Air genes that kicked in, and he was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, he's
hold
like,
up.
I'm going to stop this back. I need to kill the hens. That being said,
Yeah.
I don't think it would have made any difference to, you know, whether he was actually there trying to defend that one Nexus turret when there were 2 inhibitors dead. So you may as well just try and stop there being more people bearing down on your Nexuses. Sending going to be banned away here. The Rel taken off the board here by T1. This is exactly the same bans that they saw last time, as T1 banned Nidalee in the 3rd place.
I'm... Okay.
Trist this time.
Listen, now there will be a Seraphim ban, and T1 will... Oh, this is really good, actually, because now T1 gets either Hecarim or Seraphim. And now what AFRECA does is they leave both open, so maybe they ban like Kai'Sa or something of the sorts, and then you get the other one, right? You trade broken champions. Don't ban...
I ban Gragas, personally.
Yeah, that works for me.
And
I
then,
quite like that.
Or you don't ban Gragas as well, and then T1 has to choose one, and you get Gragas Hecarim or Gragas Seraphim.
Works,
Or
yeah.
one of those things is Xayah going to be the ban here.
And that means that you lock in... Oh,
I think
this is
Hecarim
hard.
has to be the lock-in, right?
That's... I think the one thing... I think Hecarim is super broken, but I think the one thing that's more broken than Hecarim is Seraphim.
Yeah, that's true. I
Like,
know you think
literally, the one thing.
that.
And
Plus, it's FAKER as well, and FAKER has actually played some very good games on Seraphim so far.
listen, like, in any other scenario, if you give up the Hecarim, I'd be like, oh, I don't know about that one, guys. But this is Seraphim. It's okay, right? Like, they can lock in that Gragas and their Hecarim. It's fine, because Seraphim is there to carry your team fights.
But maybe Bang locks in Misfortune and builds Serpent's Fang.
Oh my god.
Could you imagine?
Listen, hey, if
He's
they
saved
wanna,
it all this time.
If they want to go R5 Misfortune, right, and like Hecarim Misfortune, maybe throw a Galio in there, like I can see it.
Well, Hecarim
It's not
had to
gonna
be
happen,
locked in,
but
and there's Kai'Sa, so I guess, you know, you win some, you lose some. T1, let's see what they're going to take away here to finish off their first round of picks. Answering the jungle here is a little bit of a worry, as we'll see where Cuz is going to go.
I mean, you know what's open, right?
I think Graves would be fantastic,
Or Ube.
personally.
because he just made it through draft.
That's true.
I mean, I
Not
listen,
a gigantic fan of the Udyr
I'm
these
not the
days.
biggest fan, but Cuz has had really good impact on Udyr, which if you have impact on Udyr, that's for me a sign that like I'll trust you conditionally, but I'll trust you.
Yep.
And also, Olaf and Udyr just become a whole different champions when Seraphine is in the game.
Yeah, true.
Right? It's just like it's basically Orianna on crack, where just having that champion in your team makes run at people champions a million times better. Honestly, you know what this is setting up for? This is setting up for a B5 Sivir from Teddy.
Oh,
Yes. Listen, legitimately, I'm not even joking. I see this, right? Like, you
Hard
have
to play
you have
Sivir
the front
into
line.
Alistair, actually. 'Cause, you know, the spell shield, not so great. You headbutt in, and then you have to time the the spell shield so beautifully.
I guess never mind. I don't know.
It's a toughie.
I think it will be, knowing T1, it will probably be Kalista then? Or an Ezreal, which also would be very on theme. And it's actually good into Alistar. I think into Hecarim, it doesn't matter what you play, because you will always be sad, because Hecarim is super broken. But on the plus side, T1 seems to have recognized that, listen, if we have a draft that can actually teamfight late game, then we should be fine. And the Gnar in this scenario is something now T1 can ban out the Irelia and the Jace, which are two of the more popular counter picks. Right, you ban those out, and kind of should have Prio in that lane, should be able to really assist Cuz, as it's an interesting one, because I guess you can argue that something like the Irelia, playing it into
playing
Udyr
it with
and Seraphine is not great. Like, I think that kind of makes sense.
And Ezreal Kalista likely to be the bans here, I assume, on Afrika's side.
Okay.
As, look, we'll have to see. I think Gragas might be a decent ban here as well, because, of course, you know, as far as, you know, the damage range and things like that. Plus, Fly has played the mid lane Gragas, so it is very flexible if they were to lock it in. But there's the Victor being taken away. A lot of respect given to Fly there in the mid lane after his performance in the last game.
You know, they can even... So
I was talking about the next ban. That was the final ban anyway,
It's
so
okay.
I'm just an idiot.
I forgive you.
It's relatively late in the evening, okay?
It is, and also, I feel like these games, even though they haven't all been super long, they have been... oh my god, into Seraphine. They have been complete emotional roller coasters, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I really feel you. I love this pick. Cannot get... Oh, no. Oh,
Is this happening?
oh no, Teddy's
Space
also like,
Vayne
no,
versus
no.
regular Vayne?
I'm not seeing it. I'm also not seeing that. Oh,
Yeah, no, that's
oh god.
probably not it
Where are
either.
we ending up with? Are we going like Samira Leona?
Ooh. Ah, it's Tom Kench 80 carry. Perfect. There we go. Nailed it.
It's Cancer Phelios then.
Yeah,
like
that's
actually
or
makes a lot of
Jinx.
sense.
Kench Jinx is also fine.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that as well. I think, actually, now that you mention it, I think Jinx makes more sense, like in terms of the effective range that you have against the comp. But the thing about Aphelios is that I think that he plays better when people like turbo engaging on him, which is definitely what's happening, because we have turbo cam tank on definitely one, possibly two characters. And in that context, I like the Aphelios a little bit more. I think the Jinx as a pick as a whole is a lot stronger. But into picks that want to like dive deep on you, you have the peel from a Tom Kench, you have the healing from the Seraphine, you have the Uncle for additional protection, right? Like, there is a sizable front line. This is the kind of comp where you actually can 1v9 on Aphelios, because the Afrika comp, they go in deep and they go in hard.
Well, there's the Zillion. This is another one of Fly's champions. I was wondering whether it was going to be the Viger again. But this time, Fly is going to take a leaf out of Showmaker's book and lock in the Clock Gentleman in the mid lane.
Listen. You know how earlier this night we were at the question, which is more broken, Seraphine or Zillion, and the answer was Damon Kia?
Yeah.
Okay. Tonight,
now we get to answer the real question.
We will get to answer the real question, which is what is more broken, Seraphine or Hecarim and Zillion? I know you laugh, but like legitimately, I feel like the Hecarim, it's such an insanely disgusting pick right now, because we saw like what happened to Teddy's health in the final team fight.
Yeah, man.
That was just a full tank Hecarim jumping on top of him without a speed boost, without a chrono break that he's definitely getting this time. But on the flip side, T1's composition, they're somewhat gated by cannot have his Magnar available, but they can actually team fight, right? Like, this is a composition that actually can make it work. And I do think that in terms of priority and early game prowess, this composition from AFRECA is a little bit weaker. On the flip side, I think the skirmishing, especially with Silas and HAKER, if they find an early lead again, they can be super oppressive. How these games have gone thus far, I think this is going to be fireworks. I don't think this is going to be over soon. I think we're in for, as they say, a banger.
Yes, well, no need for the hashtag #LiveEvil on that one, because Bang is now back in Korea, taking on his former teammate FAKER in that mid lane.
I didn't even mean it as like a bang pun.
But it always is.
I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. We respect that. As Keen also with another decent matchup there towards the top side of the map. We saw for Kingen, didn't quite work out. But we've seen Keen win this matchup before. Not this year necessarily, because he hasn't been playing very much of the Silas. But this is something that, you know, he used to be very good at. Silas went through a bunch of changes. Now making a little bit of a resurgence, as we can see. And now Dread is just going to be so enabled on this map. Having encores on both sides of the rift as well, I think really does level the playing field just a little bit more.
It does to a certain extent. However, I feel that while the encore is like, it's a super good ultimate, and you basically have, I guess you have two, right? Because Kench is useless. Udyr is self-explanatory, like doesn't do anything.
Turn into a phoenix. Hell
yeah. I'm going to be honest, I don't actually know how it works when you steal the AFE's ultimate, if you just get like...
You don't get to follow up with anything,
no,
so
but
it just does a bit of stuff.
Yeah, and then, but also like what... Yeah, you don't get any of the effects, right?
Yeah, I feel like you steal the guns that he has at the time, and that's what's going to do it.
Like that...
But often it's about like the follow-up cues and things like that.
Exactly, or like a gravitum, right, or an inverter to just like shred through people or lock them down. That's not going to be the case, so you're looking at two ultimates. However, I think that...
Look at this, like, Fly he's another one of our Zillion boys. You saw that, 66% win rate. That ain't bad. FAKER's 100% so far on the Seraphine, so that's definitely good news. Teddy in a similar position. Canna the only one that's not 2-0 outside of Carrier, I guess, but he hasn't actually played any of the Kench so far today. So far this season, I tell a lie.
It makes sense, because why would you put a beautiful playmaker like Carrier on Kench?
True.
Answer is, generally you don't want to, but in this scenario, I completely get it. What you want to do as T1 is just lane Kingdom in the early game and just deny AFRECA their first 10 minutes of the game. You don't actually need to do anything. I'm not even joking. Like,
I'm glad we brought that
don't lose
that graphic down, because Bang's win rate on the Kai'Sa definitely not something that we want to be talking about as Fly. Trying to get over here and get back into this lane. Currently about half health, as FAKER has been punishing him just a little bit. And this might be a very different look to what we saw in our first series of the night, where we were seeing a lot of this Zillion, especially in that first game into the Seraphine.
Yeah, that would. I mean, I think Dread has had. We've talked about this a lot, but has had a beautiful developmental curve over the course of the season, right? Like he's gone from can pop off on Olaf and is generally like okay to legitimately hard carrying in some fashion the early game, or in the last game, the late game, right? Like, not the whole game, unfortunately, because that's more of an AFRECA problem, but he's been super consistent, he's been super good, and I love to see. However, he's no Canyon, because no one is Canyon, because Canyon is the best player, arguably, in the entire world, but definitely the best player in the jungle or in the LCK, and his HAKER is in a league of its own. So I wonder to what extent Dread is going to have the same impact here. Oh, but this went very wrong the last time.
Yeah, a little bit dangerous, but Fly's just going to speed himself up. He'll be absolutely fine, currently only behind a little bit.
I like this. This is good. This is what you need to do, right? Udyr wins the early duel. You can get into trouble if you don't have prior in your lanes, but Teddy and Carrier, they have control of the wave, right? They're moving up. They've been aggressive ever since level 1, which is great, considering the weakness of Alistar in that position. And Kaz is actually allowed to use that.
Yeah. A lot of priority given over to the Udyr, which is exactly what you need, right?
Yeah.
Top side of the map as well. Canna is really putting on a clinic against this Silas so far. Takes a little bit before the Silas does do what he's intended to do in this matchup. As, it's continuing to go not so good for Kane, who doesn't have a lot of mana either, as Dread's going to make his way and look to try and save this one. Ooh, misses the abduct, unfortunately, but Canna now still trying to get out, not going to be able to. Dread's going to grab that first blood, and the horse off to a great start.
And it's a false sense of security, because look what we see here. We see the ward there in the jungle. And then we also see the vision. So Kana felt like he had the opportunity to just shove up that wave. Clearly not the case.
Well, now Cuz making his way in, wanting to try and deny this, but not going to be able to. Dread actually just having a pretty good time right now. Gives him the good old thumbs up, and Cuz is like, well, I got you out of the jungle. But doesn't really do too much. Hecarim getting any sort of advantage is just so frightening here.
There is one big difference, and this is a pick we've talked about a lot tonight, a similar vein to the Tristana, which is Cuz.
Okay. Yeah, Kane just going to be fighting him here as Kana made his way back towards the top side. Cuz not too worried about this. He has Franklin form, he'll be fine.
Which is... Tristana has this as well, and I feel like Tristana, like, she was really popular as a counter pick to Kai'Sa initially, but she wasn't as high prio, whereas in something like the LPL, she just basically gets permanently banned.
Yep.
Which is, well, we're getting it as well, so I like that because...
Okay, that's a flash in from Carrier, but not going to be able to find the Devour onto Lehens.
Okay.
Still, you trade flashes, I guess, but there is Hex Flash available for Lehens, so maybe not quite as punishing.
It's not. Although I do feel like at least in pre-6, like you now have a window where you can, if you want to, you can go for a gank, right? You can play a little bit more aggressive, so that's nice. But basically, wow, Teddy is just getting plates, and so is Kana on top side. And that is a double the CS that we see here. So
yeah.
Yes, the ganks kind of helped, but when it comes to actual pressure, T1 is winning in 2 out of 3 lanes. I guess the jungle, they also have a lead thanks to the early game pressure. So as a whole, this is already looking much more stable. And again, T1, just run out the clock. You don't actually need to do anything. That's okay.
Let's have a look at this one more time. It's just pretty elementary, to be honest. Dread just comes in and kind of flashes. If Duck doesn't matter, there's no way you're peeling yourself away from this horse.
I think
Very easy kill.
I think Keen was
잡을만
like
것 같아.
preemptively throwing for like an
나이스,
over-the-wall
동선이
flash
신기하다.
if he would like hop flash.
if he went for it.
Which, I mean, imagine if that happened. That would have been
Pretty
real
dope.
sick. Yeah, that would have been amazing. Not the case. And the one big difference that we see last time, and the reason why if Freaks want to go again for an aggressive early Herald play like they have done the last couple of games, is that this time you will get punished, because Teddy has Berserker Grease and walk up to your turret and like take at the very least 2 plates, possibly more. And that's a big difference with the previous game. And considering the form of Teddy has been within this series, and honestly just in general, outside of that one solo kill...
Oh, Calibrum up
had the
now,
ball.
as it already had the Crescendum, stacking up these Chakrams, as you can see. Teddy getting control of this lane right now, but banging the hens, giving a lot of respect over. As Carrier just wandering around, will end up at least giving over the cannon to Teddy. It does feel like a bit of a waste of Carrier's talents, to be honest, being on Tahm Kench's duty. But he did a lot when he was playing alongside Deft as well. Sometimes, you know, it just has to happen, right? Even good old Khan on his Scion duty. In a lot of his games, it's not exactly what you want to see from a guy that was so good at things like Jace and Fiora. But still, they win a lot of games with it.
If you're a true top laner, you appreciate the sign. You stand there and you're useful. That's all
Damn
you
right.
need to do. You know, be big, be beefy, and T1, they're going for this Herald, and Lance maybe thinking about roaming. Fight could break out here.
Yep, Fly moving on over. Faker coming in as well, should be able to make it. As these bombs over in the area. Carrier doesn't have the Abyssal Voyage up, so he's probably not going to make it so far. 3v3. Bang's still on the bottom side of the map. Teddy's rotating up. Keen picks up a Gnar. There's the big old Gnar into the wall as they're trying to take down Faker. The Encore goes completely wide as Cuz steals away the Rift Herald. And Teddy's just killing Lehens in the mid lane somehow. Good wallop there as Keen is going to get taken down. And remember, this is a fight where the ulti from the Seraphine goes completely wide, but it does not matter. T1 just in a better position to take the fight.
That's a zoning ultimate.
Oh, yeah.
You can get away with that. All jokes aside, it's the rest of T1 that plays it beautifully there. I think that Keen had the right idea, and that's a really high reward play if it does work out, where he goes in, steals the Mega Gnar, and slams him into the wall. However, the problem is, and this is something that we didn't see as much with the Zillion last time, is that your early game damage, if you don't have the double bomb, and even if you do, is not particularly great. Like, look at his itemization. He has a Doran's Ring, Tear, and Boots.
Yeah.
That's not the damage that you need, right? And the Hecarim, at this point in time, while strong, doesn't have the base movement speed and the pressure. So what you see here is that there isn't actually enough damage to immediately take them out. FAKER also uses the shield on himself, and then all of a sudden, like, your entire combos have been used. And then Kana is still in Meganar form, and this is also the value of the Meganar, right? Like the resistances that you get, you're basically unduelable. Silas is a melee laner.
Yeah, FAKER's just under the turret and he's dead. Bang just pops his passive. Not sure how that happened, but just a bit of a headbutt pole and FAKER's dead. Wasn't a teleport, just wandered down there, saw the minion wave,
and died.
Oh.
Interesting.
Sometimes you come back from a replay and a thing happens. As we can see a thing from earlier. This was Lahen's getting caught out.
Ah, yeah. So he engaged with Teddy. Teddy eats him up.
Eat him.
And then Teddy's like, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Really appreciate that. Very nice of you. Okay, yeah, so it's just a nice roam or a play from the hands while FAKER gets greedy.
Yep. And Bang, Killer Instinct's in.
Okay.
So it's just a little bit too easy. A little bit unfortunate, but sometimes there's a cow.
Sometimes there is a cow. This is actually Lahen's, has been, I think, in conjunction with Dread, has been like one of the bright spots on this roster, right? I feel like in the beginning of the split it was a little bit rough, but he's really found himself over the course of this. Oh no, not again.
Yeah, Dread's looking for FAKER. Fly already has about a 20 CS advantage over the Seraphine right now. Is Dread not quite sure where he is. He decided that he didn't want to go for this one whatsoever. Mountain Drake available. Been up for a while, actually. We're about to tick towards 12.
It's 11 minutes. T1 says completely okay. Take that one if you want to. We're fine with that. No problem. Also, I think that the Rift Herald was used on the mid lane because there's 2 plates gone there.
Yes,
but we didn't
and the money was given over to Teddy as well.
There you go. Did we get to? Did I just completely miss that? Did we get to see that?
We did see it.
Oh, there you go. No shame on me.
Yep, that's all right. I got you back. That's why why there's 2 of us. You can focus on other things. And to be honest, like, let's be real. You analyst types generally cast off the minimap and nothing else anyway, so I don't blame you for missing what's happening in the mid lane.
Sometimes, yes. Analyst types?
Yeah.
Does that include the Veld analyst?
Of course, yes. And the Atlanalist, if he ever comes around.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I've heard the tales.
Yes, well, I did start my career as an analyst. There's a reason why I didn't last very long. Mainly probably because I was just teamfight play calling anyway.
Who had that conversation with you?
Beg your pardon?
Who had that conversation? Who told you maybe you should be a play-by-play? Or was it just you yourself?
Oh no, I started off as a play-by-play, and then when I began my career with Riot in 2014, the other caster that I was casting with was also a play-by-play, and I was the one that sort of bit the bullet and decided to do some color.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
That's sort of how it worked. And then that stopped.
But he is still there.
I mean, theoretically, as carrier, he might not be, as he has a lot of great health. That's a lot of teleports as well. Good exhaust onto Dread as carrier. He can still get a lot of value here as Canna just gets back. The Phalanx has been reformed. Chrono Shift is very good, but unfortunately, the Silence now finds himself in a very rough situation. Now dueling Teddy. If he gets another Kingslayer, and he does, he might be okay, but no, not going to be enough. As Cuz got devoured as well, he's going to be safe in T1. This is what happens, right? This was exactly the value that Seraphine wants to get.
It's already starting, Atlas. Like, we're not even 15 minutes in, and you start to see the value of the Seraphine coming in here. But it's also impeccable play and response from T1. What we saw there was Teddy and Carrier just, I want to see those Devourers again, because normally Tahm Kench is not a pick where you go like, oh man, Tahm Kench, cool interactive gameplay, what a lot of skill oppression on that one. But in this scenario, it's actually the case. And then the immediate response with a double teleport, and then all of a sudden, instead of a gank with a possible counter gank, this turns into a straight up 5v5, right? And this is the dream for T1, because they don't actually get on top of Teddy. Teddy is fine, uses Graviton to zone away, and then here we get the ultimate, finds 2 people combined with the CC that Canna provides while he's frontlining. And sure, the health bars go low, but the only one getting attacked here are the frontline of T1. It's Cuz, Kana, and Carrier taking damage. Sure.
Oh, and Cuz, how did he sub Carrier coming in with the absolute save? Just beautiful. As Canna might be in trouble. Yes, he's just going to be taken down here as Kane still tanking that turret. One more And Chrono Shift comes out, but not actually quite going to be enough as Lehens may just die. There's a flash smite from Cuz. It's like if you don't have any ranged abilities, use all your summoner spells. Beautiful.
Flash, bear, smite.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay. I figured it out.
Alright.
Every time we get back from a replay, someone on T1 dies.
Well, Bang gonna have to flash because I needed to respect the Devour. Teddy's on the bottom side of the map, and he's just taken down turrets, feeling very good. Currently almost 20 CS in the lead. Untouched on the Aphelios is a very scary prospect, and maybe sometimes you don't need a Thresh because you've got Devour, you've got Seraphine to do all of her Seraphine things. FAKER now with his tier largely stacked, as well as his stopwatch sitting in his back pocket and his Moonstone completed.
It's not often we see the Kench unbenched, but when he does, in a position like this, you know, it's working out decently well, and Kana so close to surviving this. Unfortunately, 4 people is a little bit overkill if you're Mega
Yeah,
Knight.
so close to getting his Mega Knight too.
Exactly. If you do get, you know, the Mega Knight here, then you knock him into the wall and Cuz finds 3 kills. But not really working out. I mean, you can choose here as well as Cuz, right? You can smite both.
Yeah.
He went for Keen. It's personal, I'll have you know.
It was very, very amusing. Getting a little bit of revenge for his top laner. It was, of course, Keen did get taken down by Dread earlier on. But I'm a bit worried, Chronicler. Like, the only good thing here for AFREECA at the moment is the fact that Fly is so far ahead. Look at his level advantage as well. Like,
oh no.
he's doing very well. That being said, now I've seen this one before. Is this a replay? Is this another? He does get the Mega now this time, but it's not going to be enough. Bang's going to grab that. An Unbreakable Will from Lehens does mean that everyone is able to stay alive.
Yes, but you trade 1 kill and presumably a turret for more gold on Aphelios.
True.
And also
Map position and objectives.
Yeah. I'm not a fan. I don't think this is a trade you take, but I'm glad you asked. Is the state of AFREECA right now good? No, it's not, because AFREECA, as we saw in game number 1 and game number 2, are a team which is incredibly dominant when they find the lead, but their setup in the mid to late game, their macro decision making and their objective control has not been great. Even within this series, even with a deserved win, right, and 1 win that they should have gotten but then didn't get. And that in of itself kind of tells the story of AFREECA. They're now at a deficit into a T1, which has an disgusting team composition to fight into. Yes, you have the Zillion. Yes, Keen has a lot of high-value ultimates. And yes, you have a ㅣBang, but we've seen these situations happen before. And if it's even remotely close, it's not looking good, because while you have all those things on one side for AFREECA, on the other hand, we have Seraphine.
Yeah.
And I mean, we mean a lot about Seraphine, right? But in this specific type of composition where you are looking, you have the front line, you have a strong front to back, you have characters who are really augmented by her, and you have Teddy, which is one of the best team fighting AD carries, who is fed, as Kana is probably going to die again because he goes mini and he has no business being this far up.
Well, we'll see whether Lehens does pop over and try and stop him here. As you can see, Fly's going to turn up, but I don't know whether that's quite going to be enough. Points for patience here, definitely. For Lehens, as Kerry is just going to spot the cow. Sorry, Canna is going to spot the cow. As there's the headbutt back. Dread is going to turn up, though. And is it going to be 3 deaths very, very quickly? The answer is no, as Cuz is booking it here towards the bottom side. He's going to get stunned up by the Everfrost as the bombs are put down. And that is going to stop the Udyr from being able to move any further forward. That's a very deep teleport coming out from Keen. But all of T1 just move all the way out of the way. This Cloud Drake, T1 say you're welcome to it, and they'll take down this inner turret. Maybe they'll get the inhibitor turret as well.
Chakrams are available. I'm pretty sure they can.
Yeah.
If they want to go for it. It is a risk, though, but they do have a great front to back. I think theoretically they could go for this. They just need to stall a little bit so that the turret is gone.
Yep, they might actually have enough Mega Nut timing as well. They absolutely do. Because now, as long as T1 keep it together, exactly what they need to do. They need to fight in a ball. That's how Seraphine works so well. There's the Narbak into the dead turret. Bang! Has to use his ult. He has the Chrono Shift as well, and he's desperately trying to die. Does so. gets down into that ultimate. Bang now, but oh no, it's just not enough. Cuz is just going to solo him out there on the backline. And T1, they have a front door open.
That might
they
be
can just
it.
end the game in almost sub 20 minutes. Teddy so close to death, but he's alive.
Oh, they don't have a wave. No, they can't. They couldn't.
There's a cow and a horse between them and victory right now. All right, well, we're getting to work on the first Nexus turret. These death timers are not large. 10 seconds on Keen as Dread now with full health back up again. And T1, they take one Nexus turret. Now they're looking to back away.
Listen, I'm not a fan of Tom Kench, but non-ironically, like, Carrier's playing it so well. Because you can see the impunity with which T1 can move up, and that's a beautiful sandwich that they create there, where AFRICA is...
What's the sandwich got in it?
That's a... Okay, I need... Do you want, like...
Like a pastrami sandwich, one of the really good pastrami sandwiches?
Sure, does that
Oh yeah, I'll show you the place.
Okay.
There's a place just up the road. It's really good.
That sounds lovely. There's, you know, a lot of meat to this composition. I guess FAKER is the pickles, you know, like providing that intense flavor.
Oh yeah.
And as long as Teddy's alive, which I guess is your cheese dip,
Who's the bread?
Completely fine. It's Carrier. He's keeping it all
Carrier's the
together.
bread? Yeah, that's okay. I can feel it.
It's Cousin and Carrier, right? Like they sandwich everyone between them.
Is pickle really a sandwich thing though? Like
I don't know.
It sounds like a burger option.
I guess I don't.
I mean, here in Korea we get pickle with everything, so I'm starting to get confused.
You kind of caught me off guard with the sandwich thing. And I'm just scrambling for like
You were
reliable...
talking about sandwiches, okay?
Yeah, but sandwiching as in like they are sandwiched between a team and an inhibitor and their base. Not,
Okay,
wait,
now
are you,
I get it.
Wait, are you kidding? Are you?
No, I'm definitely kidding.
Oh my god. I don't know. Maybe it's a language barrier.
Yeah, my Australian just didn't quite have me
No,
prepared.
maybe I said something wrong. I don't know.
No. You were fine. I think this actually worked out far better than if you had have just made your point, to be honest.
I tend to agree. As Baron now gets started up, the health bars are going to stay high. That's the virtue of Seraphine right there. AFRICA, they need this Baron.
Oh, look at T1. They decide not to flip it Baron.
Oh my god.
Hopefully some notes are being taken right now on the other side of the rift as AFRICA will deal with this Swift Minion wave. And they have to, right? Because with one Nexus turret down, that's actually really important because one wave can actually get through that now. So they need to be forever tidying. That being said, mid lane definitely the easiest one to keep on top of. But a 6,000 gold lead. We've got a minute and 45 seconds approximately here for T1 until the next Drake is up, and it's an Ocean Soul.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if T1 get it, I don't think that there is any way that AFRICA wins any team fight at all.
Ever. No.
It's too hard.
Non-ironically, I think at that point, if you just put Teddy and Carrier in the lane, you have the rest of AFRICA running, they'll be fine. I don't know the exact math on that one.
Yeah.
But I'm fairly certain that at that point in time, like the game is pretty much over as AFRICA. But considering the strength of this team, I don't think you want to get to that point. The problem here is this is all or nothing for AFRICA. We gave them they have a 1% chance to basically still make it to playoffs, right? With all the different permutations, everything needs to go right. But in the way of that stance, they need a victory here. There is no losing. If you lose here, you're definitely out of playoffs. The fact that this far into the tournament, we still have runs for playoffs, I think is
That's really cool, right? Yeah.
That's amazing.
We've often seen the final week not really have very much to do with it, but that's absolutely not the case. This is going to be our first team eliminated from playoffs if AFRICA cannot win this game. As Lahan's looking for the wraparound. And we've got 35 seconds. It looks like T1 are just going to go for the Baron instead of even grabbing this Drake. And remember, like, this is just one Ocean Drake. Both teams only have one Dragon so far. The Dragons were actually very, very late. And so T1 don't really need to fight for this one necessarily, as Lahan's is standing on a ward as well. T1 have all the information that they need. And Kana has teleport. He can get here if he wants to, as now Cuz just walking underneath his turret. This is a little bit dangerous, getting slowed down a lot. But yeah, I mean, I say it's dangerous, but he's Udyr, and he's very tanky right now. Moves very quickly. And yes, AFRICA do manage to grab that turret. And now in a better position for this Drake that has just spawned. Looks like they're not going to go for it.
The real problem here is in the top lane, because Kana is legitimately just split pushing as long as he wants to. And I don't think you can get away with both here, ST1, where you pick up the inhibitor and the Baron, or the Drake, but you can definitely get one of them, depending on what AFRICA does here. They decide to back off, though, and in the end, no one
It's like the Dragon doesn't exist. Dragon really has been largely ignored
Yeah.
so far. Which is a little bit sad. Okay, Keen just going to throw his Everfrost into this wave and tidies that one up very quickly. Now AFREKA need to get themselves into vision clearing mode. Make sure that T1 can't take any free Barons or anything like that. FAKER feeling very comfortable right now with all of the vision they have on the top side of the map. So he can just push another wave forward. So the inhibitor has now respawned and AFREKA can breathe a little bit easier. That being said, not very much easier. Skeen dashes out of the way.
And the problem for me is that unless AFREKA like 100-0 someone or Carrier isn't there, as this is a really nice setup with Dang taking that, but they are at threat of getting engaged on.
Yeah, T1 could actually force right now as Cuz looking for Lehens. Beat drop, not actually going to connect here as Bang will finish off the Drake. He's taken a little bit of damage, but not too much to worry about, especially with Killer Instinct's shield. As T1 now have the inside track on moving towards this inhibitor, but I think they want to probably break open another lane. Try and add more pressure. Just taking the inhibitor doesn't seem to do too much here as now Cuz comes on over, gets a little bit of a stun onto Lehens, but he's not exactly the priority target here to be taken out first. But T1, I mean, they don't take a lot of damage in these fights as Carrier, that grey health now starting to stack back up. Cannon not going to get slowed down and stunned by the Everfrost. Now Cuz sitting at about 2/3, but that is going to change very quickly. FAKER still sitting on that empowered W, he can throw it out whenever he would like to.
And here you see the one weakness of the T1 composition. They don't actually have a lot of reliable engage. It's literally Canna running up, or sorry, Cuz running up, or Canna finding a flank with Mega full. And that's basically it. And that's why you can see AFREKA make these moves, because they do have the go buttons, right? They have both the sped up Hecarim as well as an Alistar, which is as good as it gets in terms of hard engage. And it basically means that all the T1 can do is like go in situations like this, which hopefully should be able to.
Well, here's the Abyssal Voyage as Cuz is in relatively close proximity. But he's by himself right now. The Baron is going down pretty slowly, however.
Cuz is up a level.
Yeah, I've seen this from AFREKA before, but Cuz is going to get exhausted. Can he get in and steal his weight? The answer is no. That's a brilliant Pulverizer's Bang immediately there. FAKER going to go golden, though. He's buying so much time as Teddy. Not dead just yet, but finally does get taken down. But the answer is the Hecarim and the Kai'Sa out of the fight. The Zillion also obliterated. Keen trying to be our hero, but the answer is absolutely no way, my friend. Lehens, it's him against the world, but there is one Nexus turret and one inhibitor between AFREKA's life in playoffs and not.
The Catfish is fishing for Lehens, but all he needs to do is cancel the backs. The push is coming in here, and T1, even though they found Teddy there, FAKER staying alive for that long is more than enough to get it done here. Pushes are coming in, but with Bang coming up soon, I don't actually think that T1 can.
Yeah, the death time may not be long enough, and actually they're going to leave this inhibitor unkilled just so that they can deny the freezes.
Listen, AFREKA is down this much gold, and they're still making it work. That's just beautiful.
I mean, they managed to get this this Baron. This is still a 50-50 though, so we're not exactly super happy with how this one went, but Lehens, my god. I mean, there was no better way to start this fight off, but it just wasn't enough.
Listen, if Keen hits that knockback into the wall, this fight is over, like, immediately.
Yeah.
The problem is that both Dread and Bang on top of Teddy is actually too much damage. Fortunately, with Kana there, they actually do take him down, and then once you're in this stage of the team fight where both carries are removed, the lack of effective DPS basically just means that T1 wins, right? Because they have Seraphine. Like, it's as easy as that. And we see again the limitation. T1, they are kind of forced to just straight up run into AFREKA, and the reason why it's working out is one, Encore, and secondly, Carrier having impeccable devours. And as long as Teddy or FAKER stay alive and they get rid of Bang, T1 can win team fights, but it is still contentious. It's not a straight cut, because you might look at this gold lead and take a look at these teams and think this is definitely over.
Well,
I wouldn't count on it.
He's going to get level 14 now. I mean, the Hecarim is still very strong, like you were talking about. And he's going to go. Lehens looking for that flank plays. That's the stolen Encore onto T1. Carrier still trying to tank this one up, but the Aphelios is largely untouched. And oh no, Keen was going in for it, then immediately gets gnawed back. Beautiful defensive play as the Aphelios picks up yet another kill. He is taken down, but now it's 2 versus 4, and I think AFREKA may just be done as Cuz is going to chase down Fly. He's going to have to kill him a couple of times, but there's no flash, and I just don't think he's going anywhere. Good Everfrost, but that is goodbye inhibitor, and the rest of T1 is looking to just end this game.
And Hecarim is so insanely strong. You see it there again. The only reason that Teddy stay alive for all of that, the coordinated dive, the encore from Keen, is Carrier, right? Like without that, we mean Tom Kent so much because it's such a, I don't know, like if it was a sandwich, it would be a bad one, but in this scenario, it's just the ingredients you need, right? He is this tasty and firm bun that keeps it all together, and T1, they fight a crucial victory in AFRICA, unfortunately.
If you have the right condiments, any sandwich tastes delicious. That's what we learned from this one. The Tahm Kench working out very, very well. And unfortunately now we have to say goodbye to the AFRICA Freaks when it comes to getting into those playoffs. Really unfortunate, but I think that T1 showed us that in that last game, yes, Seraphine's still busted, but Tahm Kench can work as a substitute for that Thresh that feels like he's almost necessary if you're going to play Aphelios, if you're going to play Jinx, these type of picks. And Carrier shows that you can go forward, you can go back, you can save your teammates, you can also eat your opponents in order to get those kills and those setups.
He can protect, he can defend, and he can eat snack, right? Like he does it all. And what we see here is, again, the only reason that Teddy at this point is still alive and everyone is forced to engage onto him is because of that Devour. Then the subsequent team fight, you see the value coming in from the Seraphine where everyone's health bar just keep topped up, and eventually Teddy dies, but at that point you've literally used everything in your arsenal just to try and get T1. You only kill a single person. It's not enough.
It isn't, but it was an exciting series at the end there, and I'm really glad that AFRICA did go out with a bang. Game 2 was absolutely fantastic from them. I think we were doubting a little bit more than we probably should just because of AFRICA's ability to throw, especially in game number 1 and things like that. However, definitely played it out well, and I think that the third game was definitely competitive. That being said, they weren't able to find their early leads that they almost always get, and that's always a worrying sign for AFRICA.
And I think this is, as far as series goes to go out on, this is a pretty good highlight, right? You performed really well against one of the stronger, what's currently looking like one of the stronger teams within the LCK, and sure, it's not enough, but you came close repeatedly. Yeah, and we do have some highlights from this game as well, so let's go over it. As AFRICA did start it off relatively well, but unfortunately Keen just in the isolated lane was never really able to get going on this Sylas, despite the fact that Canna did fall down many, many times this game, actually. And as a whole, I think this is where the back-breaking moment happens, right? Where you see the idea behind the composition, where you want to dive in with the Kai'Sa and with the Hecarim, and if that works out, you blow up Teddy, then you're fine. The problem is that in a normal composition where the Tahm Kench and the Seraphine are not available, then it's completely okay, right? Like this works every time because we see how little counterplay there is, and Dread really played his heart out in this one. Yeah. But there is a Seraphine, there is a Tahm Kench, which means that if you don't kill Teddy in a single go, you just lose every time, and that's basically what happened.
And killing Teddy in a single go is almost impossible with Devour and Seraphine, right?
You can't, and that's the problem, and we see the limitations of the T1 composition be shown when they can't engage, right? Like you have a couple of these situations where T1 is basically saying, please engage onto us, please, we want you to fight us, we want to fight, but we can't start it ourselves. Oh man.
It is just, it's still so sad to me, right? Because like, I think that this is definitely a highlight for AFRICA. I think that they played much better than what we've seen in their last few games. I feel like AFRICA have been rolling over more often than not in a lot of their performances, but this was definitely very hard fought from these guys. Just, it wasn't quite enough, and they took a gamble, right? They were hoping that, you know, maybe their OP picks were going to just be better than that of the Seraphine. I think that, you know, taking that gambit in the draft was an okay thing to do, right? Because what T1 have showed is that they have looked like a better team, even if they were making a few, you know, overzealous plays in game number 2.
It was T1 who set it up, right? Because they didn't ban either, and that created a situation where, as AFRICA, you could do one or two things. You could ban either or, which is terrible, because then your opponent has Seraphine or Hecarim and you have neither.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you try and trade one of the OPs. However, as we see here, time and time again, Seraphine is just insane, right? Like, Teddy would have already died here, at this point in time, and he would have been able to do more damage. Dread wouldn't have to go in, and maybe this goes completely differently. Not to speak of all the other situations that we've seen throughout the entirety of this game, where it's just the health bars just seemingly don't go down.
Well, Canna is going to get a lot of damage in this one. Really effectively done here. But he was caught in side lanes a lot, and I don't know about POG votes and things like that. Have you put yours out yet?
I have.